Good morning, guys. Well, it is morning when I'm speaking to you, when I'm recording this. It's the beginning of May. I'm sorry, I've got a lot of packages at my feet at the moment. I am finishing the shelf. I've actually kind of started this shelf. As you'll see in a minute, I haven't had a lot of time to film recently, simply because it was my birthday for a start. I wasn't well for some time of it. Not on my birthday, thankfully, but I wasn't well. I've been off my work a couple of times and I've had other things on. I am currently having a change of teams and a change of roles at work, so there's been having to work on what would be generally my days off, which, you know, you get a little bit, it's my day off, I have to get up. So I'm kind of in limbo. I'm still doing my old team role, but I'm moved desks and I'm getting training for the new team role, which should be starting in the next couple of weeks, I think. That's been happening, so I haven't really had a lot of time to film at all, which is quite gutting, because at one point I was so far ahead. Like, I had loads of stuff recorded and it's just all been uploaded now, and I'm a bit gutted at myself that I haven't had much time to get around to filming. But I do 10-hour shifts at work, so by the time I come in, I leave the house at about 8:30, I get home at 10 o'clock. It's a long day, so I can really only do it on my days off, and those have been a bit all over the joint at the moment. So anyway, long intro. This is my May currently reading shelf. I had an alright time with April's currently reading. There's a couple of books that I skipped. I did try the Mammoth Book of Alternate Histories, which you will remember from the last one. I can just see it out the corner of my eye just now. It's below the camera. And I was really looking forward to that one, as you'll remember if you've been keeping up with this series. I read the Titanic book, which was the first one, which I was really looking forward to, and it was just the weirdest book that I've read, like, definitely this year so far. Like, totally out there. It wasn't what I was expecting, so I read the next book, the next short story, and I couldn't get into it, and then I skipped one, and then I'm like, I'm not really feeling this book just now, so I'm going to go back and try it again at some point. I think that was the most standout one for me that I can think of at the moment from that currently reading shelf. But let's get into this currently reading shelf at the moment. So first things first is Hardcore 24 by Janet Evanovich. As I've said, I have been reading her books for years. I have met her. I met her quite a few years ago now. She was in the assembly rooms in Edinburgh, and I do have a photo somewhere, but God knows where it is. So I'm currently reading, I've read Tricky 22 and whatever the 23 book is. I'm reading that at the moment because I saw they were coming up, and I had 22 and 23, didn't have 24, so I had to buy that. And then 25 will be out November 2018, so no sign of this series finishing yet. I think it was my dad that originally got me into them, and then he stopped like book 9 or 10 or something like that, and I've just carried on. Really, you're just getting the same stories, just kind of remixed a little bit. And I'm starting to get to that point, and I know I've seen a couple of other reviews on Goodreads as well, just saying she really needs to decide if Stephanie's going to go with Ranger or if she's going to go with Joe Morelli. She really needs to decide and end the series, because otherwise we're going to have another JD Robb on our hands, and I don't have the shelf space for that. I think this is pronounced Lyrebird. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong if we think about it, but this is a Cecilia Ahern book. It's quite thick. That's what she said. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I started off loving Cecilia Ahern. Like, when she first started writing, I loved her books, but I haven't had her later books I haven't loved or enjoyed, or it's been a bit she's very hit and miss, and she's going a bit Marianne Keyes for me. I started off loving Marianne Keyes, her early books, and now it's gone. I have been told to try a couple of other books, but hopefully this one will be good. I didn't like Flawed and I didn't like Perfect, which were her move into the young adult world, as it were. I'm having to actually lean past my camera. I'm in such a small space right now. I have diamond paintings at my feet. I have a diamond painting that is currently being flattened out with a lot of heavy books, and I'm right next to a stack of books. I have birthday presents behind me, and I have my couch right next to me, so I'm trying to contortion myself to reach my shelf at the moment. So next up is God is an Astronaut by Alyson Foster. I got this from Amazon. The whole reason, I think, for me purchasing this was the title. I just thought it was such an unusual title, and it's definitely an eye-catching title. So it does sound like it's written totally through emails, so in that sense it sounds like it's written similar to Where Rainbows End by Cecilia Ahern. I loved that book. I really did enjoy that book, so I'm hoping this will be quite similar. Next up I have the film novelisation of The Mask. Now, a major motion picture from New Line Cinema. Obviously we all know who this guy is. If you don't, where have you been? The entire 90s, this is Jim Carrey. This is by Steve Perry. It's quite battered along the edge of the front cover there, as you can see, but the spine's in pretty good nick actually. So I'm quite pleased about that. I did get this from Amazon. It's originally $4.99. I wish books were still that price. Like, I know you can get some good deals sometimes, but there's no like photos, you know, like your usual 8 colour pages halfway through the book. There's nothing like this in here, but it's quite a thin book. Probably won't take a long time to read. I am trying to find a space in my shelves to put all my film novelisations. Next up is Scarletts by... No, I don't want to pronounce that. It's right there. I would totally make a hash of that if I tried to pronounce it. It's one of those words that doesn't sound like it's spelt. But I've got this. This is Scarlet. I think this is a kind of takeoff of the Robin Hood. Yeah. It's kind of a spin on the Robin Hood story. I also read Graceling. I forget the author right now, but Graceling, it was all over my Goodreads. Everyone seemed to be reading it. Came up on my shelf and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I don't know what it was. I just didn't get it, couldn't read it, didn't make any sense, couldn't get a picture of the characters in my head. And then we have How to Find Love in a Bookshop. And it's by Veronica Henry. And it's got a really nice, kind of cosy looking bookshop on the front there. And a little silhouette of a girl. Scaramouche, Scaramouche. Do the fandango. Nightingale Books. I like the name of that shop. This sounds quite good. I actually got it for quite cheap on Amazon. It was one of those ones where it was like $7.99 or something, say, and then dropped to like $2.99, and Michelle's going, buy straight away. Like, if something drops in price, like quite significantly, I have a tendency to buy it. But I think that'll be good. I haven't read any of her other books, but I think I have another one of her books somewhere. Wherever it may be, I don't know, but it's around somewhere. Next up we have Gump and Co, or Gump and Company, however you want to say it. It's by Winston Groom. This is a sequel to Forrest Gump, which I never knew existed until a little while ago. and I'm not 100% sure why I bought it. I wasn't that keen on the book of Forrest Gump. I didn't like the way it was told, but that could be because I have watched the film so much over the years. I would probably need to go back and reread Forrest Gump. I mean, I've seen the films so many times, I know it backwards, forwards, sideways, you know. I would probably need to go back and reread the first book, which I'm sure I still have somewhere. It's around, if I could find my G's, but I think my G's are currently on the top shelf, and I've got no easy way of reaching the top shelf, because it's going to be over beside my bed, which means standing on my bed and then leaning over and probably falling. This book keeps circling my to read shelf like constantly. This is Persuasion by Jane Austen. Now, I have a confession to make. I am not a great lover of the classics. The reason for this is because of the film The Lake House. This is supposedly, well, this is the book that Sandra Bullock reads quite a lot throughout the book. She makes references to it throughout the film. She makes references to it. She leaves it on. Does she leave this one on the train and Keanu Reeves' character tries to go after her? I just didn't realise it was him at the time, of course, but I don't know, it just, every time it comes up on my shelf, it just goes back to the end and it's just constantly circling. Like, it's getting so sick of seeing my shelf at the moment. I mean, it's a thin book, so it's not going to take me long to read, but it is quite dense writing when you think about it. And I don't know, I should really just give it a go, and if I don't like it, it goes out. It can never darken my doorstep again. I just don't know what it is. I don't like the classics. There's a lot of these books coming around at the moment that are written by kind of like Scandinavian authors. They always have really long titles. I have another one somewhere on my shelf that my dad gave me to read, and I think this one is from my dad as well. And it's called The Little Old Lady Who Broke All the Rules. And there's another one about like the 100-year-old man who jumped out the window or something along those lines. But this book, it is quite well used. I think we got it from the charity shop. My dad was like, oh, well, you need to read this. And I'm like, some point, yes, I mean, it does sound quite interesting. It does sound quite funny. I'm just not sure what it's going to be like, or what the translation is going to be like either. Sometimes the translation can be a bit off on these books. I have Lost and Found by Brooke Davis, and I can't remember, I think this was an Amazon recommendation, and I saw it and I got it. It says, if you liked Rachel Joyce's The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. I have a few of her books. I've never read this one, but I said to my dad, oh, you own The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, and we can't find it in his bookcase, so it looks quite good. It sounds intriguing, at least. Generate the same feel-good word of mouth as The Rosie Project. I haven't read that either. That is on my shelf somewhere. There it is. God knows when I'll get around to this shelf. As you can see, I'm currently working on this shelf at the moment, and it's down here, along with a bunch of others. A Doctor Who book. But it's right there. Next to a Diane Chamberlain book and the bees. A little handheld action for you there. Just because I thought it would be easier than having to move my entire tripod around. And next up is All My Secrets by Sophie McKenzie. Another author I kind of find a bit hit and miss sometimes. I've liked some of her books, but then there's some I just haven't enjoyed. I liked Girl Missing, Sister Missing, and whatever the other one was. But the tagline, what if your whole life was a lie? Oh, Missing Me is the other one. That's why I can never remember it, because it goes Girl Missing, Sister Missing, and then Missing Me. And we have Turn of the Tide by Pamela Oldfield, and this is a Titanic book. Nothing could prepare her for the Titanic's maiden voyage. No, nothing could. I bought this used. As you can see, it's not in the best condition. If I shine the light on it there. It's been well read, well loved. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those books where it's like you get to the Titanic about page 384 or something like that, and the rest of it is just kind of building up to it. And it is quite a thick book when you think about it, so I'm hoping it'll be good. I don't tend to have the best. Well, some Titanic fiction books are good, but some are just nonsense. And I'm not sure about the cover art of this. What is wrong with her eye? It seems like it's completely darker, and there's something not quite right with her face either. I don't think the artist was quite... I don't know. Something annoys me about this cover. And then we have Thing of Beauty, and this is the biography of Gia, who you'll probably mainly know, or who I mainly knew from the film starring Angelina Jolie. And this is by Stephen Fried. Okay. I don't really know much about Gia outside of the film. So when I saw that this kind of biography existed, I thought, oh well, I'll get it. I'm hoping this will be good. I think it will be. I think it'll be quite an eye-opener. I'm not keen on these books, and drawing on hundreds of interviews with Gia's family, lovers, friends and colleagues. It's like, meh. It's quite dense text. It also has photos dotted throughout. I do love Angelina's portrayal, but I think they picked well when they got Angelina in the role. Next up we have Lynn Andrews' Heart and Home. These books are 10 a penny. I have been reading them for years, and no one really comes close to Lynn Andrews. I think my mum originally got me into them. They were her books. Then I started reading them, and then they just gradually moved across, totally by accident of course, into my bookshelves, and I've just continued to buy them, whereas my mum doesn't read much now due to her eyesight, so... I mean, they're very much like the Annie Murray, the Katie Flynn, but they just don't have the same magic as Lynn Andrews. I always go back to Lynn Andrews. I always buy them when they come out. If they're a good price, I will buy them. And I really enjoy them. They're easy to read. I have The Winter House by Judith Lennox. A magnificent a magnificent novel of love, friendship, and a world changed forever. I haven't read too many of her books. I've only read a couple. A Step in the Dark by Judith Lennox. I've read that one in my read shelf, and I'm sure part of that was set in Edinburgh now, if I remember. But that was quite a good book, and it kind of got me interested in reading more by her as well. So I have, this was an Amazon Warehouse deals, and it's pretty trashed for an Amazon Warehouse deals, but quite looking forward to seeing what more of her books are like and seeing if there's any more that are worth actually buying. I have this, The Ghosts of Heaven by Marcus Sedgwick. Now I think I had a small problem when I have a couple of these Marcus Sedgwick books. I think this is the first one that's coming up. I don't think I've read any others of his, but I originally thought, or I originally got him muddled up with the author of The Book Thief, which is Marcus Suzak or something along those lines, and I thought it was a new Marcus Suzak book, and it wasn't. The Ways of Infinity, and I do like the cover. Sounds a bit weird. I'm not sure how I'll get on with it. It does sound very kind of just odd. Oh wait, shit. There are 4 quarters to this novel by award-winning author Marcus Sedgwick. They can be read in any order and the story will work. They are assembled here in just one of 24 possible combinations. This order makes one kind of sense, but the reader should feel free to choose a different author and a different sense if desired. Oh my god. Who's going to bet that I won't be able to understand this book? That sounds so weird. And it's got nice kind of turquoisey green pages. Oh. Oh no. Well that's... Sorry, I don't... What the hell? I am not keen on reading books that are kind of told... I don't like poetry, for example, so I don't know how I'm going to get on with this first part and focus. I think that'll probably put me off straight away, but then it does seem to switch into like normal storytelling. So we'll see, I may get completely put off. And then we have Love Letters to the Dead. There's the author's name if you're interested. I simply loved this book. Love Letters to the Dead is more than a stunning debut. It is the announcement of a bold new literary voice. This does sound quite interesting, so it kinda... Why does it have to be Kurt Cobain though? Could you not have thought of someone more interesting? Dear Kurt. Dear Janis Joplin. So it is told in the form of, was that Jim Morrison? Yeah, Jim Morrison. It's told in the form of letters, well, some letters dotted throughout it, and then just the normal storytelling there. Next up I have Glimmer Glass by Jenna Black, which is a fairy walker novel. And again, these are becoming 10 a penny. I'm really getting put off by the amount of like supernatural forces and werewolves and vampires, and Twilight has a lot to answer for. Where is the... Why is there... See, if we ignore that, because I initially thought there wasn't a blurb there, if we ignore that bottom bit, this really puts me off books if it's just this whole text. Like people who have read it and are getting sound bites put on. I much prefer it if it's just the blurb on the back of the book. Sounds kind of interesting. I'm not sure how it'll be. As I say, I'm a little bit fed up with these books at the moment. So why do you keep buying them, Michelle? Well, Michelle, I keep buying them because they're on my wish list, so I buy them. And next up, we've got Chanelle Hayes, Bearing My Heart. And this is, she was in one of the seasons of Big Brother. I don't remember if I watched her season or not. I remember she had the whole kind of romance showmance with, I want to say Ziggy at the time, and she's gone on and done other reality stuff and is still appearing at the moment due to her weight issues that she's had, which is quite a shame. But I got this book used, and what I really like about this book is we have a whole page of a dedication, and obviously someone has bought this book in September 2014, and it's to Kath from Keith. I've said this before, like, I would never give away a book that either has a dedication in it, or it has my name in it, or it's something that's personal to me. I mean, okay, if you don't like the book, but you're giving this away and it's got a whole full-blown story in it, basically. And it's been given away and ended up in my hands, and I will never give this away now, because it's so personal. It's like a little insight into someone else's life. It does say, some light reading while you're going back into work. Chantal was one of my favourite students in my A-level English language class, but I don't get a mention in the book. Anyway, she certainly had history, dropped out of Greenhead before coming to New College, not sure what that says, or New College Pontefract. She would always sweep into my class at least 10 minutes late, and with her hangers-on. I never gave her a late mark because she was a charmer. Her presence just warmed up the room. Of course, she was always being told she looked the spit of Victoria Beckham, I would have said, and she lived that role. She took 2 days off college to see her in London, but she told me beforehand. She was in line for straight A grades in EL, English language, Spanish and French, and then she left 2 months before the exams because BB, Big Brother, came calling. What can you say? Maybe the right call. Love, Keith. Kath, why did you give this away? Keith, why did you let Kath give the book away? Seriously. That is such a sweet insight into, like, Chanelle before Big Brother came calling, and just a little sweet insight, and I love that. Then we have Time Masters, Book 1, The Call. And it's by, I think that's Geraldine Beecham. Now, this was quite an interesting book because I had this on my wish list, and then it went down to something like £2 or £3, and I was like, hello, bye. And I think it's gone back up in price since then, but if you go on to the discussion questions at the end of the book, it is 569 pages, so it's quite lengthy, and to think there's a sequel after this as well, and maybe more, I don't know. Then we have A Maiden Voyage by Cynthia Bass. I'm having deja vu, I feel like I've already read this. And if that's the case, why do I have 2 copies? Why do you have 2 copies, Michelle? Sure, I've already read this. We'll soon find out, but I recognise the name and the author, but maybe it's just one that's been circling. But if I have already read it, I didn't actually like it. I have this, A Titanic Love Story, which is the Ida and Isidore Straus biography story by June Hall McCash. Basically, they sank on the Titanic. She infamously said that she wasn't going to leave her husband, which was also mentioned in the film as well. and obviously they owned Macy's. I've also got Letter to an Unknown Soldier, a New Kind of War Memorial. Now, this was back in the day, a couple of years ago now, when St James's Centre in Edinburgh still existed. This was in a shop called Books for Less, and it was basically one of those kind of discount stores. Only £3.99, down from £12. Who in their right mind would pay £12 for a book of this size? Probably me. It's quite an interesting concept. Obviously, it's people who have written letters to the soldier that stands in Paddington Station. And I think it'll be quite heartbreaking. UK £14.99, good grief. I think it'll be quite heartbreaking to read. I've never seen this memorial. I've never been to Paddington Station in London. I think it'll be quite a heartbreaking, heart-wrenching read. I have Dream Makers by Nora Roberts. I may skip this one. I haven't been in the mood for her books recently. I don't know what it is. Plus, I'm getting to that point now. She keeps releasing like doubles. So she'll release 2 books in one kind of thing, and then I find out I have them in a different edition, like by themselves. So I should really stop buying these doubles, but you know. And then last but not least for this shelf, I have Spare Brides by Adele Parks. Damaged, Beautiful, A Generation Changed by War. And it's quite a pretty cover, I think. Don't think I've read an Adele Parks book before. For some reason this one intrigued me. I liked the title and I liked the blurb. Well guys, this is my May to read shelf right there. Like, I can't fit it all into one hand on screen, but right there. I need to finish Janet Evanovich's 23 book, and then I will be right on to this shelf. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying this series. If obviously you want to see any of my other thoughts or reviews, you can follow me on my Goodreads or my Amazon reviews, which are both listed down below in every video. If you want to send me a friend request on Goodreads, I will always accept it because I don't have many friends or many active friends on Goodreads anyway. So I will let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you soon, hopefully, for another video. Bye!